On February 24th, 2015, in the pre-dawn hours, Metrolink commuter 102, operated by Amtrak, was en route from Ventura County, California to Los Angeles. The train was led by a cab car number 645, a non-powered coach car with a compartment from which the engineer can control the train, followed by Bombardier bi-level coach car 206 and two Rodham Hyundai coach cars number 211 and 263, and an EMD F59PH diesel locomotive numbered 870. In addition, the train was occupied by 3 crew members, an engineer, a student engineer, and a conductor, and 51 passengers. The train was traveling east Ventura to Los Angeles. After leaving the station, Train 102 was traveling at 79 miles per hour, but then there was trouble ahead. A truck was sitting there on their path in front of them. The engineer immediately throws the train into emergency braking, but then it was too little and too late. Metrolink train 105 hits the truck at 64 miles per hour. After striking the truck and the trailer, the train continued through the grade crossing, where all 4 passenger cars derailed and 3 rolled over onto their sides. The locomotive did not derail, which was the only thing remained on the track. The truck was pushed along the track about 130 feet east of the grade crossing on the south side of the track. The trailer detached from the truck and came onto the grade crossing, where it was consumed by a post-crash fire. Debris from the collision caused minor damage to a 1998 Toyota Camry, which was stopped at the grade crossing facing north of the time of the crash. As a result of the crash, the engineer had died. 32 passengers and crew members were injured. 12 passengers and 1 crew member had injuries described as serious and were treated at Community Memorial Hospital. The truck driver also received minor injuries and was treated at the same hospital. But what was the cause of this wreck? The NTSB found out that the probable cause of the crash was the truck driver mistakenly turning onto the railroad right of way due to acute fatigue and unfamiliarity with the area. The NTSB investigation found that the crash occurred nearly 24 hours after the truck driver reported for duty in Sumter, Arizona, and drove 16.75 hours after he began the trip to Oxnard. Well above the limits set for the commercial driver, the truck driver worked for the Grover's company, but was operating a vehicle owned by Harvest Management. The two companies share the same ownership, manage a farming operation. The driver went on duty at 5:51 a.m. on February 23rd, after having been off duty the day before at 1 p.m. The coach/cab car and the 3 of the coach cars were fitted with a crash emergency management, and this wreck was similar to the deadly 2005 Glendale train crash and the 2008 Chatsworth train collision. The NTSB determined that the CEM elements were not activated in the collision. The investigation determined that welds on the train's pilot assembly failed and detached from the lead cab car. During the crash sequence, however, no markings or damage suggested that the pilot assembly itself interfered with the wheels of the train and caused the derailment. After the following derailment, service was suspended on the accident site, and Metrolink passengers were bused between Camarillo, Oxnard, and East Ventura stations. Amtrak Pacific Surfliner and service between Los Angeles and Goleta that uses the same tracks was canceled. Local roads around the scene of the accident were closed. Service along the rail line was restored by Wednesday afternoon, with the first passenger train passing through the crash site at 5:40 p.m. The truck driver, Jose Alejandro Sanchez Ramirez, 54, that was his age, left the scene on foot following the accident, but was later taken into custody About a mile away, according to his attorney, the man was trying to summon help in the remote part of the county without a vehicle and with no guarantee. Anyone he found would be able to communicate with him since he only speaks Spanish. When he finally encountered police officers, he handed them the cell phone on which he had been talking to his son, so that his son could explain to the officers what just happened to the train. He was booked on suspicion of hit and run and held a $150,000 bail, but prosecutors later declined to file criminal charges against him, and he was released 2 days later. On February 22nd, 2016, Sanchez Ramirez was charged with misdemeanor vehicle manslaughter, charged by Ventura County prosecutors. He pleaded guilty to the charge on April 25th, 2019, and was sentenced on July 24th to spend 30 days in jail. On September 3rd, 2015, Metrolink announced that they will restrict use of cab cars for at least a year as they reviewed the safety features. As a storage gap, BNSF railway locomotives were borrowed to add a second locomotive to each train set positioned in front of the cab car. Metrolink determined that all of the pilot's assemblies were on the Hyundai cab car and had not been secured and attached. On July 8, 2016, Metrolink board approved a $1.5 million plan to repair the pilot. Afterwards, a locomotive BNSF AC4400CW was seen carrying the cars from the aftermath. But the cab cars were not scrapped. They were actually repaired and put back into service and are still here today. It's been 8 years since this wreck happened and is one of Metrolink's most deadliest wrecks of all time.